Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been some time since my last video, but I'm here to talk about what I've been up to in my life in the past 6 months after the tech layoff. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm a UX researcher based in LA, and if you missed my latest video about my life update, I have that video linked in the description box below, so feel free to check that out. But first of all, that one video where I talked about my layoff, that video unexpectedly is at 112,000 views. It got on my friend's algorithm, my ex-coworker's algorithm. A lot of the people in my life that didn't know that I had a YouTube channel finally found out. So here I am, just a little bit awkward and shy to say hi to all of my real life acquaintances. Anyway, so getting back to the topic of discussion today, immediately after the layoff, I actually did go to Europe by myself for a couple of weeks. Specifically, I stayed in Budapest, Prague, a couple cities in Austria, and I stopped by Paris real quick as well. And I know a lot of people mentioned that it's gonna be a bad financial decision in times where, I have zero or even negative income stability. But honestly, it was really the only time that I had for myself, to myself, and without my husband, without my friend. Plug my AirPods in my ears and eat by myself, find friends in the area, try things that I've always been scared of trying before, like skydiving. It's forever going to be one of the biggest highlights of my life. I'm kind of lucky in saying that one of my best friends works at an airline company, so actually my flights thankfully were free, and biggest shout out to my friend. The cost of living in those areas that I went to were actually much lower than, if I were to stay back in the United States, sad and lonely and depressed about the whole layoff situation. Because I was traveling alone, I definitely reflected a lot about my life, my career, my relationships, friendships, what I really wanted to pursue longer term, like what kind of things that I do like doing, what I don't like doing about my work, how do I gain financial freedom, like what do I want to be doing 10 years, 20 years down the road. And one of the things that I really wanted to do for a bit is buy my first home. I know it's a very odd idea when you have zero income coming, but I knew that that was something that we've been thinking about and working towards for years, and we have had our investments and savings towards it. And what I wanted to do is, for my first home, maybe I should get my real estate license, maybe I should educate myself in properties, and perhaps represent myself for my first home purchase. So immediately once I got back from my Europe trip, which was about a couple of weeks long, I started taking online classes for the real estate license. That took about maybe a couple of weeks to complete online. If anyone's interested in that process, I'd be happy to make a video about it. Once I've completed my courses, I then started studying for my real estate license exam. I thankfully was able to pass it in my first try. And while doing all that, I also blocked a little bit of time in my calendar to apply for jobs too. So I personally applied literally everywhere, big or small. It was really tough. I would get an interview, and while preparing for that interview, I would get a call from the recruiter saying that the team's needs changed, so they're no longer hiring for that role. And there was also this other time where it was a lower level, entry to middle level role, but they ended up hiring somebody with decades of experience. Is what they're posting on job sites as experience that they want versus who they actually end up hiring had a big discrepancy, because it's really employers market, and they're being really picky with the candidates, and they can do that. And eventually hiring somebody who's extremely overqualified for that role, but is also desperate for a job, because who isn't laid off these days, right? So I think what helped me the most while applying for jobs is that, that wasn't the only thing that I was doing. I was also studying for my real estate license. I was looking into the real estate career in general as well. So at the back of my mind, I had this a delusional sense of security that, hey, if this tech job hunting doesn't go well, maybe I'll consider another career in maybe real estate. Or hey, maybe, I'll make a career out of this YouTube channel that I have. So yeah, so I think those thoughts gave me a sense of security as kind of like a safety net, even though, as you can tell, like none of these are safety nets. They're all very unstable and very like shaky, and none of them has that safety net quality. I also had severance package coming in, so that was about 3.5 months of pay, and we also got insurance as well. So that meant that, you know, I technically didn't need to get a job for at least 3.5 months. And literally 3 months into the layoff, I started a new remote job at a tech startup. And I'm gonna be honest, the pay definitely is lower than before, and that part was where I struggled a little bit at first too, but I knew that, you know, what's most important for me is that I start somewhere, you know, because I knew that if I let that 3.5 months pass post layoff and started living off of my savings, I knew that I was going to be extremely anxious and probably desperate, like knowing my personality. And when I reflect back about, you know, the year of 2024, it's truly a roller coaster of events and emotions. And I remember when I first got laid off, I thought my whole world was falling apart. I had this sense of pride in my shiny remote tech job with a, you know, great culture, great people. Like, I definitely had an amazing work-life balance as well. And when I lost that, it really didn't feel like losing a job. It felt like losing a part of me that's so important to me. And I'm realizing that part of me that, you know, I lost was pride in my tech job. I know I might be privileged in saying this, but honestly, layoff gave me 3 months of freedom. I also got paid fully and probably a little bit more. I also got my real estate license that saved me tens of thousands of dollars in my first home purchase that just closed. Also, I ended up with a memorable little trip abroad. And if anyone else was just laid off, or, you know, you're still going through a layoff trauma right now, know that it will get better. It took me so long to realize that a job is a job, and there's no job that's going to give you the internal stability that you hope for. And yes, I have a job right now that I'm grateful for, but that won't stop me from self-development. That won't keep my seats warm and cozy, because I know that it can be lost at any point depending on the business needs. And, you know, feeling betrayed at a company that you love and consider a family is probably not going to be how I accept and respond to the next layoff if I ever go through it again. I'm going to be more prepared for sure, but also I'm going to try to gear up my heart so that I'm less emotional and more accepting of this reality, because, you know, employer is just a business that needs to make money, and it's going to do anything to achieve that goal, and that is just what it is. Know that you will find a team that appreciates and recognizes your value, and maybe while you are looking for a job, this might be a really good time to maybe rethink about your career goals too. You know, is your most recent job something that you want to still be doing when you're 50? You know, if not, why not start discovering spaces that gets you to your long-term goals? I know I rambled a bit, but I hope this helps you see the good and the bad, and, you know, I hope this is a testimony of a happy ending to the layoff story. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.